Our next speaker has made as much difference within the government as any non-elected person probably ever has. And the reason? As a citizen, he had the ear of the President of the United States. He was his top advisor. We've all heard of something called triangulation. Taking a Clinton, bringing them back to the middle. Taking the government that was shut down, making them sit down at the table with the House and with the Senate, and passing policy that resulted in the closest thing to balanced budgets in any of our lifetimes in this country, and ended up making a tremendous difference within the Clinton administration. He has gone on to become one of the preeminent consultants in this country, politically and otherwise. He gets more airtime with my friend Hannity than I do by far, with good reason. His website, dickmorris.com, is a wealth of information, all types of daily features that you should go ahead and subscribe to. Insight like no other. He can analyze the polls like nobody's business, really tell you what's going on. And again, this man has seen it all from the highest levels of this country. 14 books he and his wife have authored. 14, and 10 were Times bestsellers. Proud to introduce Dick Morris.
So I guess we all feel lighter today from having made that tax payment earlier in the day. And while I was paying mine, I realized that I'm honoring the Buffett rule. But he's not. Barack Obama paid 20.2% of his income in taxes this year. And he's pushing legislation to require everybody else to spend 30% of their income in taxes. It's almost worth getting him reelected just to make him do that. But it's not. You know, I wanted to come here today particularly because there is a man who I want to tell you about, who will be the next great President of the United States of America, Mitt Romney. I said great. When I go to these Lincoln-Reagan Day dinners, I always tell them when I come back in 20 years with my walker and I have to be helped up the steps to go to the podium and I hobble over, it's going to be the Lincoln-Reagan-Romney Day dinner. I believe that we are going to defeat Barack Obama. I believe we are going to elect Mitt Romney. I think we're going to get rid of Bill Nelson. And that means we'll demote Mr. Reid to minority leader. And we'll set Nancy Pelosi back another 20 seats or so. And then you watch. You just watch. Right after that takes place, I tell you, within the first 4 months of this new administration, they will repeal whatever the Supreme Court doesn't throw out of Obamacare. They will repeal the stimulus package. They will pass the Ryan budget. They will pass Medicare reform. They will put Social Security on a permanently sound financial basis without cutting benefits for anybody who's now over 55. They will prohibit the EPA from messing up with our manufacturing industries. They will prohibit the NLRB from jamming unionization down our throats, whether we like it or not. We will stand up to China and demand that they stop manipulating their currency. And this economy will be turned around very, very quickly. Let me see a show of hands here. How many of you would say, after 4 years of Barack Obama, you're more conservative than you were 4 years ago? Okay? Well, why the hell don't you believe it happened to Mitt Romney? I mean, for God's sakes, he's seen the same stuff we have. He's seen how this president is driving the economy into the ditch. If there was ever a moment when you understood how vital conservatism was, it's these 4 years. And I don't think that Mitt Romney of 2008 would have been a great president. I didn't support him then. I wouldn't support that guy now. But it's not the same guy. We're not the same people. And he won't be the same president. He will be a great president of the United States. Let me just spend a second explaining how I think we got into this mess and how we can get out of it. There was a recession that started in June of 2007 under the Bush administration. Then there was a banking crisis that started in September of 2008 under the Bush administration. Separate crises, not related. One made the other worse, but they weren't related. The recession screwed up housing values, which caused the bank portfolios to look bad, and the banks crashed, and the banks crashing increased unemployment and economic uncertainty and made the recession worse. But there were different events with different causes and different solutions. Obama's whole campaign is going to be based on how he saved the country from disaster in January of 2009. Baloney. What happened was that in October of 2009, Bush and the Congress, Democrat and Republican, voted $600 billion or $700 billion of TARP bailouts. Most of that money was never spent. They gave it to Citibank, and Citibank put it in its vault at the Federal Reserve Board, and it said to the bond market, if anybody wants to mess with me, or anybody wants to make a run on me, or anybody doesn't think I can back up my loans and my deposits, think twice. I got this bank account at the Fed. I have this huge gun, and I'm not going to have to use it because if the threat's enough. And these speculators and the vultures all flew away, and the banking system was fine. The only three institutions that didn't pay all of their money back was AIG and the two parts of the federal government, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. All the other private banks paid back every dime, most of them wanting to pay it back faster than Obama wanted to let them. Then Obama took office in January of 2009, and he said, I'm going to lick this recession. I'm going to be vigorous and proactive. I'm going to spend money like crazy. I'm going to hype consumer demand. I'm going to do what FDR should have done and didn't do enough of, and I'm going to really solve this problem. And what he did was he ended up creating this massive, huge budget deficit. Really what happened was all the TARP money got paid back, and Obama sent it out the door again, this time not as a loan, but as a grant. And the deficit sat there, and the national debt soared. Well, 6 or 8 months later, the recession came to a technical end. But what took its place is a debt crisis, because the world freaked out. That's a complicated economic term. Technical. I'll give you the formula for freak out later. It's square root of something or other. But the point is, the world went nuts. They said, when Obama took office, governments all over the world owed $40 trillion. And of that, 10 was in the U.S., state and local and federal. Now, they owe $55 trillion, and $35 trillion of it is in the U.S. And the world doesn't have that kind of money. The GDP of the planet Earth is only $65 trillion. They couldn't find that much money. And the result is that everybody panicked, and a debt crisis took over. And lenders stopped lending, borrowers stopped borrowing, consumers stopped spending, and investors stopped investing. And it all dropped dead, not from the disease of the recession, but from the cure of the spending. It's like in the Middle Ages when some poor guy got sick, and they'd say, I know what's wrong with him. He's got evil spirits inside of him. Let's cut his arm open and bleed him of a couple of pints and get rid of those evil spirits inside. And when the poor son of a gun was half dead, they said, see, he's still got evil spirits inside. They took out the rest of the blood, and after he died, he said, I told you he had evil spirits inside. That's what Obama's doing. The more our economy isn't responding, the more he spends, the more he borrows, and the more he borrows, the more it freaks out the rest of the world, the more all economic activity stops. And his solution is to borrow more money. Now, when you get Romney in there, he's going to stop the borrowing, he's going to cut back the deficit very substantially. I absolutely think the Ryan budget is going to be rubber-stamped into action immediately. And I think that you're going to see a total reversal, because the world will say, hey, the debt level's coming down because the U.S. is under new management. And I think that's what's going to happen. And we need to make that happen by getting rid of Barack Obama. But you know, once we pass all that stuff I listed, all we do is dial us back to the situation on January 20th, 2009, when Obama took office. We repeal all of Obama. It's as if it snowed and there were no more footprints than there were in your case. There was a sandstorm, and the beach, the waves, and there were no more footprints on the sand. You won't know that he was ever there. But the problem is the economy wasn't any damn good in January of 2009. You know, it was in the middle of a recession. Didn't have 8.5%, really 11% unemployment, had 6%, but it was still going up. We have to take this opportunity to fix what is fundamentally and basically wrong with the United States economy. And to me, that means adopting the 999 program. Herman Cain lies a moldering in the grave, but 999 goes marching on. And let me explain why. First point is tax consumption as much as you tax production. Production is what makes the products and makes everything work and causes jobs to start and people to hire and people to employ. Consumption happens way down the road after you've already produced. And the United States, by taxing production at 35% and consumption at 4 or 5%, which is the local sales taxes around the country, completely misplaces their priorities. So businesses don't invest, people aren't able to grow, jobs don't develop. The key thing here is to tax consumption and incentivize investment, incentivize people to put money aside. Let me give you just a cute, quick little example. Let's say your job is to dig a ditch, and they give you a shovel to do it with. And then somebody comes along and gives you a steam shovel to do it with. Well, your productivity tripled, quadrupled, 100-fold increase. But somebody had to come up with the money for the steam shovel. And that is from investment. That's from savings. That's from money that's not consumed. So by incentivizing investment and incentivizing savings, you really make economic growth possible. If the rest of the world's taxing income at 35%, and the United States is taxing it at 9%, you won't be able to beat away the investors from coming here. This place will be the absolute mecca, the paradise of the world economically. Absolutely. And then I got one other thing for you. I got news for you. Gas prices haven't doubled. The dollar has lost half its value. In 1948, it took 18 barrels of oil to get an ounce of gold. You know what it takes now? 18 barrels of oil to get an ounce of gold. that hasn't changed at all. In 1948, gas used to cost 20 cents a gallon. And the 2 dimes, which were then made out of silver, the silver content of those dimes was enough on the open market to buy that gallon of gas. You know what? It still is. But the dimes aren't made of silver anymore. So what's happened is it's not as if the scenery is moving past us at 70 miles an hour. The scenery, the trees where it always was. We're moving at 70 miles an hour. And we think gas prices have risen, but in fact the dollar has lost half its value since Obama has been president. And therefore the price of gas has doubled because the Arabs aren't idiots and they're not going to take this funny paper we print. They're going to take as much for that amount of gold. And therefore I believe the crucial thing for us to do is to adopt the gold standard. Because you can't trust politicians with a printing press anymore. Now listen, this is going to be a long and a tough campaign. And we have to work like hell. Now what that means is, each of you has friends and associates, your soccer moms, your granddaughter's classmates, your high school reunion buddies, your business associates, all the people you socialize with or have known who are on your Christmas card list. You have to be the precinct captain of your Christmas card list. You have to go down that list and figure out who are the people you know are going to vote right, and who are the people who might not, who you really have a shot at persuading. Might be a few liberals, in which case I'd urge you to shrink your friendship list. But in any case, go after the swing voters on your personal list and send them clips, email them stuff. How many of you watch my lunchtime videos? Well, good. Every day at 11 o'clock in the morning in your email box and on my website, you'll find a brand new video of that day discussing what's going on. I do that so you can send it to the swing voters on your list. Send it to them. Shoot it right out to them. And by the way, I'm doing a new feature, doing it today. I'm going to do rebuttals to each of Obama's television commercials. I'm starting with 2 buttes. He has a big one about how he saved GM, okay? You know how many people GM hires? 202,000. You know how many of them are in the United States? 68,000. 2/3 of GM, which we save with our money, is foreign jobs. Ford, which didn't take a dime of government money, has only 55% of its labor force abroad. So when Obama talks about outsourcing and don't sell the American worker short, he is so full of it. He's the biggest outsourcer in the world running General Motors like that. Number 1. The other one he talks about in his other ad is how we're producing more domestic oil now than we ever have. Yeah, because Bill Clinton and George Bush were presidents before him and approved the oil drilling that now is going on. But in terms of new permits to drill in the Gulf, they're down by 43%. And new permits to drill on federal land, they're down by over 60%. President Romney is going to face 2 years of a lower domestic production because of what Obama has done before he's able to catch up. So go to my website, send that stuff all over to your friends. Look at Krautheimer's column. Take videos from last night's Hannity show or O'Reilly show. Send them out to your friends. Get that out in public. You read an article that Michelle Obama just spent $253,000 of your money on a trip to Spain, send it to your list. That Obama paid only 20% of his income in taxes, get it out there. That's what you got to do. And work those people over constantly to make sure that you get their votes. Tea Party has a great party, but it's just that, it's a party. We all have a ball, and then we all go home. We lost 3 Senate seats in 2010 because the Tea Party was too much of a party and not enough a grassroots organization getting out votes. We should have won Nevada, we should have won Colorado, we should have won Washington State. And we left all of them on the table because we didn't work hard enough on election day. Please don't make us be able to say that again. I'll just close by restating the obvious. I mean, it's so obvious it doesn't even bear repetition. This is, by far, the most important election in our lifetimes. By far. The United States of America will be unrecognizable if this guy has 4 more years in office. Let me give you a statistic that'll knock your socks off. When Obama took office, hey, what's the sign language for knock your socks off? When Obama took office, there were 135 million people with jobs and 65 million without jobs in the United States. Now there are 139 million people with jobs and 100 million without jobs. 135 to 100, 139 to 100, as opposed to 135 to 65. Now, of that extra 35 million that aren't working, 9 million of them have no choice. They're unemployed. But 26 million of them have left the labor force. We're now a country where half of us pay no taxes and a third of us choose not to work. And if you re-elect Barack, more than a third, 40%. And if you re-elect Barack Obama, those people who sit on their rears and get money from the rest of us will be the majority and will never be able to change this country. Those are really the stakes. You're looking at our becoming one great big Detroit or one great big Greece. And that's what we're looking at if we re-elect Barack Obama. So please, work your butts off. Thank you.